These are the five important elements we should always keep in mind while we are trying to write something creative. So number one is, say number one.
Number one is character, which means character development. Number two is setting, which is like the time and date. Number three is conflict, which is like any problems that the main characters have to face. And then number four is the plot, which is the journey that they take, like the story is about, basically.
You have to keep in mind the hero, the main character,
Yeah.
protagonist, the main character. Yes.
And then five is theme, which is kind of like the overall like message the story sends,
Correct,
kind of.
exactly, right? So these are the five things we have to keep in mind. Let me jump with the story writing. Okay, and you were pretty much interested in learning story writing because on the last class you had already told me that yes, ma'am, I want to learn story writing. But okay, what is story writing according to you?
Story writing is when we write a fictional story about characters that we make up, or sometimes characters that we make up using our imagination.
Yes, right.
And yeah,
Mhm. Go ahead.
and it's like a type of creative writing.
Right,
So it
exactly.
has like
Story writing is very important part of creative writing. Right. So you will have to make your own story. You have to give the name of some characters. Okay. And you have to make everything by yourself. You have to make an interesting story. What are the elements we must keep in mind for story writing? So keep in mind. Number one, always keep in mind setting characters. Very much important, setting of characters. What is the meaning of setting of characters? Number one, it sets the time and mood of the story. Did you understand what is the meaning of time and
yeah.
mood of the story? Can you explain?
Because like if it's in like the night, if it's like, in the olden times, then there'll be like a different sort of like mood to the story, because it might be like if it's in like the plague, then it'll be depressing-ish. But like if it's in the future, then there might be like robots or something. So like the time is like
So
really important.
ambience of the story. Mood means ambience, environment of
Yeah.
the story. Right. Number two, it tells you where the story is taking place. And number three, it decides how the readers feel about the same. Next, setting is a critical element in creative writing. All right. Character sketching is very much important for story writing. Always keep it in mind. While you are writing a story, you must sketch beautiful characters. Now, I'm going to tell you what is sketching characters. Do you know how to define sketching a character in a story?
I'm pretty sure it means like giving enough descriptions so the person knows their personality and their like just their physical experience. I mean, appearance.
Yes. Very good. Absolutely. Brilliant performance. Yeah. So, how to sketch characters? All the words are here. Read one by one. Number one, character name.
Character name. Number two, nickname. Number three, birth date, place. Number four, age. Number five, race. Number six, eye color. Number seven, hairstyle. Number nine, height, weight. Number 10, skin tone. Number 11, style of dress. Number 12, personality traits. 13, mannerism. 14, internal conflicts. And 15, occupation, education.
That's amazing. That's how we have to sketch characters. Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
Right? Do you need more elaboration or it's fine? You understood, right?
No, I understand.
You understand. Okay, very good. And always keep in mind for every story has beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, and end. Always keep it in mind. Okay, you can look it here. If you look at that page, see beginning
Oh, yeah,
means right. Can you understand here? Exposition.
yeah,
Beginning means
beginning.
exposition. Then rising action, then climax, then falling action, then resolution. That's called actually plot of a story. But for
Yes.
overall, a story has three most important elements: beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, and
Okay.
end. Okay, and what is the difference between plot and story? That's I'm going to show you here. Here I have explained about the whole plot actually, how you can make a plot in a story. For plot, you have to do like exposition, rising action, climax means peak of the story. Okay, then falling action, then a resolution. Okay, now look at here. Story and plot writing, what are the difference between story and plot writing? Do you have any idea about the difference between plot and story writing?
I think story is more of like a broad term. Like it says like the experience. It's like no, it's like more about like how like the character grew from the experiences that they did, and then like what message you have at the end. And then plot is more of like what happened, like exactly what happened, like what happened at like this part of the story, what happened at this part of the story. Whereas the story is like that's the plot. The plot is like how the journey takes place, and then the story is more like how the character feels and
Very
how
good,
we.
that's super brilliant. Have you sit properly, please? Have
Oh
you
yeah.
sit properly? Yeah, okay, all right. So story is your protagonist's emotional journey, and plot is your protagonist's physical journey.
Hmm.
Right, number two, plot, what happens to your protagonist, the main character, what happens in the story. And story, how your protagonist changes the story from inside.
Hmm.
Understood? Right.
Yeah.
Now, element of story writing. While you are writing a story, there are some important elements except character sketch. There are more elements you have to keep in mind. Okay, number
Hmm.
one is plot. Very, very, very much important. Writing a plot is very important to make a beautiful creative story writing.
Hmm.
Number two, character sketch. Very important. Number three, setting. A setting is the time and place in which a story is told. All right. And number four is POV, means point of view. You know what is point of view?
Yeah, there's first person, second person, and like whose
Yeah,
point of
very
view.
good. You are quite smart. You are making me happy
Hmm.
by your performance. Good. Yes. Next, number five is conflict. When problem starts, and the next is last is resolution or end. Okay. All right. Clear. Why setting is important? Can you tell me why setting is important?
Like we said above, it sort of like sets the mood because like if somebody is like in like the future, they won't be using like let's say they won't be using a paper and a pencil really because they'll have technology, and that sets the mood for the story because yeah, and then maybe like people in the future won't have as much nature around, so like the character won't be like connected to nature as much. Or people in the past, they might be like maybe depressed because of like the plague or something, and then that also affects the conflict you have because you only have like limited resources if you're in like the past, and you have a lot of resources if you're in the future. So it like changes the story.
Very good, very good, lovely. So you can also look at here. I have written a very as simple as possible way why setting is important. Setting is important to understand a character's overview. That's it.
Hmm.
Characters overview, right? Plot writing. Now we're going to talk about the plot writing. The first part is how to write a beautiful plot. Why? Because while you are writing a story, you have to make a good plot in the story because it
Uh-huh.
is the most important part of the story writing. Number one is
Yeah.
exposition. Exposition means if you look at the page, see, look at the exposition means exactly the
Beginning.
beginning,
Yeah.
right? Yes. So exposition means the information which is needed to understand the story. That information has to be very much creative, and so that that has some meaning, so that people can understand, yes, the story has started from here, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Number two, rising action or conflict, the series of conflicts and crises in the story that leads to the climax, right? So
Yeah.
rising action means your action has to be grow the way that will go reach at the climax level.
The peak. Yeah.
That is the peak level. Okay, what is climax? You can look at the number 3 point, most exciting
Um.
part of the story, turning point of the story, the most intense moment. It is also called mountain peak. Without climax, readers will lose their interest in reading your writing.
Because the rising action is like kind of leading up to the climax, and if you don't have a climax, then it's like
Right.
leading into nothing.
Absolutely right. So it is very important But number 4 is falling action, all the actions which flow the climax,
Mm-hmm.
like this way. Okay, so exposition, rising, climax, then falling, and then end. Okay, resolution, the conclusion of the story, the set of events that bring the story to end or to a close. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all about the story writing. Okay, do you have any question?
Oh no.
Okay,